Hello friends, I'm going to fly high today because they shoot to hit. Above the political miseries we are suffering, because I feel above all a benevolent Starfleet member, but the terrestrial current affairs are still very hot. I have summarized the information as much as I can. Opinion article. Liveable planets in the galaxy 300 million. First cloudless planet, very much like Jupiter, discovered. Humans could move to a space colony in 15 years. Scientists proposes human settlement in Ceres orbit. Harvard astrophysicist who spoke of Oumuamua tried to be silenced. Japan builds wooden satellites to reduce space debris. How the mysterious blue rays ascending through the stratosphere are born. 900 climatologists demand immediate end of Bill Gates' project. Scientists detect universe humming that could change science. Change of earthquakes in Antarctica, Chile, Colombia and Granada, Spain. Spanish Jesuits now acknowledge decades of sexual abuse of minors. Army researchers develop combat robots that use living tissue. Bee-killing pesticides threaten global food supply. China orders its coast guard to fire on foreign ships. State Department condemns China's military aggression against Taiwan. U.S. carrier group enters South China Sea. FBI uncovers sinister trafficking of human corpses on Chinese cargo ships. We must depolitize life to avoid fanatical clashes and totalitarianism. There are ignorant people who pick on good people, not bad people. The 20th day ceremony wasn't a lie, but a failure of the white hats. Let's start. There are 300 million potentially habitable planets in the Milky Way galaxy, reports Frank Tavares of NASA Ames Research Center. According to the new research using data from NASA planet hunting mission with the Kepler Space Telescope, about half of the stars with temperatures similar to our Sun could have a rocky planet capable of supporting liquid water on its surface. Our galaxy contains at least 300 million of these potentially habitable worlds, according to the most conservative interpretation of the results of a new study to be published in the Astronomical Journal. Some of these exoplanets could even be our interstellar neighbors, with at least 4 planets within 30 light years of our Sun, and the closest probably being at most about 20 light years from us. These are the minimum numbers of such planets based on the most conservative estimates that 7% of Sun-like stars harbor such kind of worlds. However, at the expected average rate of 50%, there could be many more. First, cloudless planet. First cloudless Jupiter-like planet discovered. U.S. astronomers have detected a planet similar to Jupiter, but with no clouds or haze in its atmosphere. It's the first such body observed by scientists. In addition, the planet is extremely hot, as it makes a trip around its star in only 4.5 days. Cloudless planets are extremely rare, the scientists note. The first and only known exoplanet with a clear atmosphere was discovered in 2018, named WASP 96b. It is classified as a hot Saturn. This planet's atmosphere is so hot that it evaporates metal. The team of astronomers from the Harvard Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics Astrophysics has managed to study the planet's atmosphere using the Hubble Space Telescope, which recorded data with spectroscopy. This is the study of electromagnetic radiation to help detect chemical elements. The researchers noted the clear presence of sodium in the planet's atmosphere, indicating the absence of haze and clouds. Human colonization. A proposal to create a human settlement in the orbit of Ceres. Humans could move to a space colony in 15 years. In less than two decades, human beings may begin to leave Earth for a huge rotating human colony with a saucer-shaped structure deep in the asteroid belt, according to astrophysicist Pekka Janhunen in the Finnish Meteorological Institute. Space elevator could transport everything needed for Ceres surface to the satellite for construction. Janhunen proposed a mega satellite composed of thousands of cylindrical spacecraft, which are linked together inside a disc-shaped frame orbiting the dwarf planet Ceres, the largest object in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. Each of these cylinders could accommodate more than 50,000 people, support an artificial atmosphere, capture sunlight, and generate Earth-like gravity through the centrifugal force of its own rotation, according to Janhunen. Ceres is a dwarf planet discovered in 1801, which lies between the orbits of Mars and Jupiter. According to the scientists, it would be not necessary to colonize the planet's surface, since the planet's orbit would be an ideal place to create a settlement that could be on a satellite with artificial gravity built with materials obtained from Ceres. Cylindrical structures about 10 kilometers long and with a radius of 1 kilometer on its surface, interconnected to house human beings, would be located there. Janhunen assures that the possibility of developing agriculture and creative space on the site can be foreseen, and that the colony would be illuminated with concentrated sunlight thanks to a system of flat and parabolic mirrors. The Finnish physicist's idea includes the creation of gardens with trees. A cylinder will produce its own gravity by completing a rotation every 66 seconds. This rotation would generate the centrifugal force needed to stimulate Earth-like gravity, allowing young colonists to grow into healthy adults. Prolonged exposure to low gravity could reduce muscle and bone mass, so colonizing low-gravity planets such as Mars would be a drawback. According to the author of the initiative, the dwarf planet would have more than enough nitrogen, water and carbon dioxide, which would allow settlement to develop. The initial population of the proposed colony could start with 50,000 people, although that population could fit on each of the cylinders. A scientist is censored. Academy groupthink is trying to silence hardbat astrophysicists who claim that the asteroid Oumuamua is an otherworld spacecraft that visited our solar system. Astronomers may have detected the spacecraft of an extraterrestrial civilization, a senior scientist claims, but the public is denied more tantalizing discoveries because of the narrow dogmatic mindset that pervades academia. In October 2017, astronomers spotted a strangely thin, elongated object. It was unlike anything seen before, and even speed up as it left our solar system. It was called Oumuamua, and its many anomalies, such as its constantly fluctuating brightness, caused problems for scientists. In fact, because of it not conform to the normal conventions of a space object, one academic admitted that he wished it had never existed. But the chairman of Harvard University Astronomy Department was enthusiastic about the strangeness of Oumuamua, inspired by its anomalies and intrigued by the fact that it was the first interstellar object that had been officially detected passing through our solar system. After studying the data, he announced the high probability that Oumuamua was of artificial origin. This caused a sensation in the scientific community because established thinking hates to be taken out of its comfort zone, according to Professor Loeb. And now he is said to further antagonize that community with the publication of his book on the phenomenon, in quotes, Oumuamua Extraterrestrial, the first sign of intelligent life beyond Earth, at the end of January. Wooden satellites. Japan is building wooden satellites to reduce space junk. A wooden satellite would be launched into space in 2023 to study how organic material is maintained in a vacuum outside our atmosphere. Wooden satellites would create a harmless alternative to metal satellites and significantly reduce space junk orbiting Earth, which is expected to become a serious problem for space travelers in the near future. Researchers and space experts at Kyoto University, including a former Japanese astronaut, are working with Sumitomo Group, a nearly 400-year-old company, to develop a test special types of wood that can survive in the harsh environment of space. A translation of a press release about the innovation, known as the Ligno Stella project, explains some of the benefits of using wood. Strange blue rays. Mysterious blue light bolts ascending through the stratosphere. A team of astrophysicists from Spain, Denmark, and Norway explained how a totally unusual natural phenomenon arises. Blue lightning bolts that propagate above clouds in the stratosphere during thunderstorms. A video created from data collected by the Atmosphere Space Interactions Monitor on the International Space Station shows the formation of a vertical blue jet accompanied by a kind of circle-shaped optical and ultraviolet radiation shockwaves christened Elvis. The blue jets from within the storms, due to an electrical charge separation that generates an ionizing motion of the components. They move both between clouds and from the cloud to the ground or vice versa, explain the authors of the study. However, in some cases they ascend from the cloud to the higher parts of the atmosphere. Against solar dimming, hundreds of climatologists are demanding an immediate end to the solar dimming project, one of humanity's main sources of life. The sun is under attack by Mr. Gates, who wants to artificially dim it with aerosols to stop supposed global warming. But a growing cohort of scientists say no. More than 900 scientists and academics have signed on to Clinton's World Climate Statement. Excuse me. The Calgary-based Society of Friends of Science has issued a press release calling on Harvard University to stop working with Mr. Gates to make a chemtrail in the sky in an attempt to block the sun. Doing so would present serious atmospheric risks, which could result in an extinction-level event, in his opinion. Solo diving would replicate some of the effects of large volcanic explosions, often devastating to crop yields, the press release explains. In other words, if solar activity wakens naturally, the addition of an artificial daemon would have a catastrophic impact on the world's food production capabilities. This couldn't be reversed unless Gates' solar daemon project is stopped. Once these chemicals were launched into the sky, they would remain there indefinitely and couldn't be removed, resulting in a real climate crisis of epic proportions. The fact that Mr. Gates is the largest farmland owner in the US leads to the question of whether he now wants to starve us to death post-inoculation. Hum of the universe. Scientists may have detected the hum of the universe that could change astronomy forever. Astrophysicists trying to detect the presence of low-frequency gravitational waves are on something, and it could be one of the greatest discoveries in human history. Thanks to collaboration from one side of the Earth to the other, a signal was appeared in data from a project that uses the rhythm of the motion of stars to detect these truly gigantic intergalactic waves, and scientists believe it may be proof of the gravitational wave, which would be a discovery more momentous than anything in recent history. The researchers from North America Nanohertz Gravitational Wave Observatory keep a constant watch on 45 pulsars over a 12-year period. Pulsars are superdense stars that spin in an incredible fast speeds, generating a continuous stream of light, radiation, and even sound. Since they are trying to measure one of the greatest forces in the universe, the pulsars work on expand the scientists' surveillance equipment to large swaths of our Milky Way galaxy, rather than just one lab in Colorado. Technology. Army researchers develop biohybrid combat robots that use living tissue. In a move seemingly straight out of a science fiction movie, the US Army is now working on robots that combine living tissue with machines. A team of the Army Research Laboratory is working on biohybrid robotics that integrate living tissue into mechanical systems in a way that produces never before seen agility and versatility. This looks like the movie Terminator. Bee-killing pesticides threaten global food supply. Neonicotinoids, better known as neonics, are a class of insecticides with a chemical structure that resembles nicotine, a nitrogen-containing compound found in tobacco plants. Farmers use pesticides with neonics to protect their crops from pests, but experts find that the use of neonics has disastrous consequences for human food production. Neonics are widespread contaminants that harm insects, wildlife, and even humans. But farmers have no choice but to buy neonic-treated seeds because the companies that sell the seeds also manufacture neonics. Korean scientists believe they have discovered a substance that erases wrinkles and could even reverse brain and muscle deterioration. Researchers have developed a rejuvenating gene therapy for human skin that has the potential to turn aging into a reversible phenomenon. They claim that the original technique can be used to reverse the aging process as well as prevent aging-related disease and prolonged lifespan. It is based on the use of chemical inhibition and genetic interference to turn off a molecule that causes cells to age. China. China's military aggression on Taiwan. The State Department has expressed concern over China's continued military aggression after 30 Chinese military aircraft violated Taiwan's air defense zone. In quotes, we urge Beijing to cease its military, diplomatic and economic pressure on Taiwan and to instead engage in constructive dialogue with Taiwan's democratically elected representatives. State Department spokesman Ned Price said in a statement January 23rd. U.S. carrier group enters South China Sea amid Taiwan tensions. A U.S. aircraft carrier group led by the USS Theodore Roosevelt entered the South China Sea to promote freedom of the seas, the U.S. military said Sunday, at a time when tensions between China and Taiwan have raised concerns in Washington. China orders its Coast Guard to fire on foreign vessels. China has passed a Coast Guard law allowing its maritime security forces to use their weapons against foreign vessels in waters claimed by Beijing, a move that could intensify territorial disputes in the Western Pacific. The regulation was one of the three passed Friday during a meeting in Beijing of the National People's Congress, the country's top legislative body. FBI uncovers human corpse trafficking on Chinese cargo ships. A container full of U.S. body parts was discovered on a Chinese cargo ship. Export companies are using China's ships, planes and trucks to transport corpses around the world for research purposes, according to a Reuters report. A Hong Kong-flagged cargo ship left South Carolina in July with 6,000 pounds of human remains valued at $67,204. Earthquakes. Earthquake of magnitude 7.1 shakes Antarctica and Chile asks to evacuate beaches. An earthquake of magnitude 7.1 on the Richter scale shook Antarctica on Saturday. Chilean authorities issued an emergency alert and asked citizens to leave the beach areas. Earthquake of magnitude 5.1 shook several regions of Colombia. An earthquake of magnitude 5.1 of the Richter scale shook several regions of Colombia on Saturday, including Bogotá, with no casualty reported so far. An earthquake of 4.4 magnitude on the Richter scale and epicenter in Santa Fe, Granada, Spain, has shaken yesterday midday, Granada capital and its metropolitan area, causing a slight injury and material damage to homes in the affected areas and in a historic arc of the municipality. I live in this region. News in short news or news in brief. Spanish Jesuits acknowledge decades of sexual abuse of minors. The first comprehensive investigation into allegations of sexual abuse by a religious order in Spain has identified 81 minors and 37 adult victims of abuse perpetrated by 96 Jesuits, a figure far higher than the number of cases known publicly until now. Victims praised the revelation, but criticized the fact that it doesn't reveal the names of the abusers of their abettors. A cat saves a baby. The baby 1 year and 2 months old, was protected several times by his cat, who for a moment became his big brother. And the cat did it wonderfully. The child and the feline were on the balcony. Suddenly the little boy approached to the railing, trying to climb it to get a better view. The cat noticed immediately and prevented him from doing it again. In the end, the life of this baby, originally from the city of Bucaramanga, Colombia, was not in danger at any time. This feat did not go unnoticed by internet users, and the video went viral. It has already been reproduced more than 75,000 times in less than a day on YouTube. Political news. 3 senators punished for demanding fair play. 3 Republican senators, state senators in Georgia, have been demoted and stripped of their chairmanships. Georgia Lieutenant Governor Geoff Duncan, a Republican, has decided that the state senators Brandon Beach, Matt Bass and Bart Jones should be placed on permanent timeout for the role they played in trying to protect the polls. Democrats announced plans to arrest and prosecute patriots as domestic extremists, according to Alex Jones. British government want to make masks a permanent feature of people's faces. This was the suggestion made by Jonathan Bantam, England's Deputy Chief Medical Officer, during the recent interview with The Sun about living in the world after the health crisis. It wasn't a lie, but a failure. The malicious people who have accused the alternative disclosures of lying for what happened on the 20th will now have to eat their words, because what actually happened was not a lie but a failure of the White Hats, who were unable to execute their plan to arrest all those involved because of a deadly bomb threat that would have cost the lives of many innocent citizens that they would detonate. Simon Pax has just rebuilt it. So it was the fault of the White Hats who missed this loose end that was used as a blackmail. They will try it again, but it is not known when. They always pick on the good people and not the bad, the alternative media and not the official media, the weak and not the powerful. We must depolitize life, otherwise we would become a totalitarian society where nothing would be personal anymore, according to journalist Neil Clark. To counter this relentless politicization, we do not need new political parties, but a new anti-political movement. In Britain, almost the most revolutionary thing to do today is not to discuss politics at all. We need to ignore the politicians, particularly the globalists, who robotically articulate the bogus Great Reset slogan of the Davos Forum. Political discussion disrupt coexistence even within families, and it is never good to be divided and confrontational. We need to avoid being sucked into tedious left-right debates and in fact begin to reject the artificial left-right paradigm altogether. We need to turn off TV programs masquerading as drama or comedy that would in reality be political sermons disguised in entertainment clothing. In short, we must take back our lives from politics and politicians. Thanks a lot, friends, and I wish you the best. Thank you.